Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today. The last time I put out a video was, I think, the middle of May, so it's been a couple of months. Originally, I had some technical issues. I dropped my laptop and it messed up the screen, and it made it really difficult for me to edit videos. And I figured I'd take some time, do some research to find the next laptop that I want to use for editing. I had planned on upgrading to a new laptop at some point. So when I dropped my laptop, I figured, okay, I'll take some time to research what laptop I want to get next. And I did do that a little bit, but then as time went on, I started getting busier just with some really great things that are happening in my life. Some people have reached out and have been so nice, asking if I'm alright, saying that they miss watching my uploads, and that was really sweet that people were thinking of me. But I'm okay, nothing bad has happened. I thought for my first video coming back, I'm not coming back full time yet. I'm not doing the same upload schedule that I had previously, just for the next couple of months, and I'll explain that while I get ready. But I thought I'd do a little get ready with me and show you some of the products I've been loving lately and the look that I've been wearing for the majority of the time while I've been away. So the first product I'm going to use to get started is the Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer from Too Faced. I don't think that they make this anymore. I bought a couple of these half mini sizes whenever they were on sale a couple months ago. I'm not sure if this is even still available. And I'm really going to concentrate it around my nose, a little bit on my forehead, a little bit on my chin. I like this primer because it smells like peaches, which is nice, and it does do a good job at keeping me from getting too oily if I use it in conjunction with some other oil control products that I'll show later on. But what I like about it is, even though it kind of feels like a silicone-y type of primer, it doesn't feel like traditional silicone primers, and when you put it on your skin, it kind of dries down, and it doesn't feel slippery. It doesn't feel like there's anything on your skin. So I feel like makeup goes really nicely on it. I can put it on certain parts of my face without it looking weird where there isn't primer. And then it dries down quickly and it doesn't feel like there's anything on my skin. For foundation, I've been playing around with a lot of different concoctions. I've mentioned in videos before, I like to mix different formulas to get the right color, to get the right finish, to get the right texture, things like that. So I have a couple products here. I do like to mix in a liquid illuminator, especially during the summertime. So I'm going to use some of this Born to Glow from NYX. It's the liquid illuminator in the shade Sunbeam. It's got a very light pinky undertone, and this one's not super pigmented, so I do use a pretty generous amount. And then a foundation I've really been loving is the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better, and I'm in the shade Fair Neutral 11. I think it's a pretty good shade match, and it's very liquidy. It reminds me a lot of the Naked Skin foundation from Urban Decay that's discontinued. This is a really great alternative if you're looking for one. Some of that on the back of my hand, and then I do add a little bit of this Your Skin But Better CC Illumination SPF 50 CC cream from It Cosmetics too. I don't use a full pump, just a little bit. It adds a tiny bit of coverage. I like the undertone. It's slightly more neutral leaning olive than the It Cosmetics one. And I feel like mixing them all together, even though it does seem like a lot, can create like the perfect foundation for what I want right now. I've mentioned before, I like lightweight liquidy textures, but I do like having pigment. I do like having a level of coverage just to even out my skin tone and help my face and neck match the rest of my body better. So while I apply my foundation, why don't I get started by talking about some of the exciting changes that have happened in my life in the past couple of months. The biggest one for me personally is that my sister-in-law had a baby. I'm an aunt now. My nephew is perfect in every way. I am loving being an aunt. I'm loving having a baby in the family. He is the first child of the siblings on my side of the family in our household, and I'm just loving having a baby to dote on and to spoil. Unfortunately, my brother and sister-in-law don't live nearby. They live a couple hours away, so it's not like I get to see them a ton to begin with. So I have been trying to take more time to stay in touch with them and get to see them as much as I can, which, you know, is difficult given that they don't live nearby. So for concealer and eyeshadow primer, I have two Makeup Revolution products. The concealer I'm using is the Conceal and Define in the shade C7, and then I'm using the Cut Crease Canvas in the shade Illustrate. I'm not sure if they even make this eyeshadow primer anymore, but I've recently taken the stopper out of both of these, so they're both almost done. And I recently finished my ABH eyeshadow primer that I was panning for the past pretty much all of this year. And that one's finished, and now this Makeup Revolution one is almost finished. I have the NYX glitter primer left, but I don't have any other eyeshadow primers at the moment. So I think I might try the Milani one or the Profusion one next. The next really exciting thing coming up is that my best friend is getting married, and I'm the maid of honor, so I'm planning the bachelorette, I'm helping put the shower together, and I really want to go out of my way to make it as special as I can, so I'm trying to put a lot of my time and energy towards the planning process, working together with the other bridesmaids, with the moms and stuff like that, and I'm really excited about it. But that's coming up pretty soon, so a lot of my time and energy is spent trying to do as much as I can for that. And then not to mention my own wedding is coming up in a couple months as well. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but we did push it back. It was supposed to be earlier this year, but we pushed it back just for safety reasons, just to make sure that everybody could come and do so safely. And I don't know if I've mentioned, I don't think I've talked about the wedding too much outside of like the 2 or 3 wedding related videos that I have on my channel, which I'll put in the description box if you're curious. But we are going to have a videographer who will be chronicling the entire day, and I do plan on sharing that on my channel once it comes. That's not coming till later this year, but if you are curious to see what, you know, the details of the wedding and stuff, I will be sharing that on my channel. To set, I'm using the Flower Beauty matte powder. It doesn't have the name of the product on here, but it's the matte version, and it's kind of just like an HD powder, and I really do like it. I prefer HD powders, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on my sponge and use it to set my under eyes. And I'll put a little bit on my lids, whatever's left on the sponge, just to help set that a little bit. I am going to use eyeshadow to set my lids later on though. Now for my cream blush, I have like a number of things that I use to create the cream blush. The main product is Peachgasm from Charlotte Tilbury, and I am almost finished with this. There's not a ton of it left. So I use that as like the main liquidy part, and then I either use the e.l.f. matte lip color in the shade Nearly Nude, or I use this liquid lipstick from ABH in the shade Crush. I'm actively trying to use up both of these, and I was worried about the e.l.f. lip color because I was just trying to use it up on my lips. I realized I don't love the formula on my lips, maybe because this is like 4 years old, but I saw Sarah Rose panning a product like this. I think it's the same product but in a different shade, and she was using it as a cream blush. Thought that was a genius idea. So what I do is, because it's more of like a pencil formula, I'll use that to draw some on the back of my hand and then add another cream blush to make it more liquidy, and then use a sponge to apply that. So I just draw a little bit on the back of my hand. I know that looks like a lot, but it really isn't. It's not the most pigmented product, and it is a lighter color. And then I put a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury on top of it. It's getting harder to squeeze out product. It's almost finished. Then I just use my finger to mix it all together, kind of like a peachier version of the color I have on. Whatever's left on my finger, I just wipe onto my cheeks. Then I use the bottom of my sponge to pat it in. And if you can see, it's not the most pigmented product out there. I can put on a generous amount without worrying about it being too heavy. It's subtle, but I do think it adds a little bit of a flush, a little bit of color back into my skin. Now I'm going to use that Flower Beauty powder again, put a little bit in this lid, use that to set my foundation. So anyway, at the time of filming this, I did order a new laptop, so that should be coming in the mail soon. And once I get the laptop, I do plan on buying a new software for editing videos. Previously, I have only ever used iMovie, which is the program that comes on the laptop that I owned previously. And I have been wanting to start using Final Cut Pro for a while, and I just never really made the transition over, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to buy that software. So this product, I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it's the Bare Minerals bronzer. I have the shade Fair Delight, the Invisible Bronze. Also in general, like in the summertime, spring and summer, I do try to go outside of the house more than I normally do. You know, go play tennis, go for a walk, you know, even just sitting on the back porch for a little bit. And really the only time I have to do those things are on the weekends, whenever I typically do film. So I think in the summer, and I'm sure this is the case for most people, but it's just a little bit busier in the summertime. And if you can see, that bronzer is very light. It's like barely detectable on camera, but in person it does help to bring some life back to my complexion after putting that foundation on. And it also helps to make like everything match better. For highlighter, I'm going to use this mini Cover FX highlighter in the shade Moonlight. This is another product that I don't think that they make anymore, and if you can see, I really don't have a lot of it left. This is a nice, more natural highlighter. Like, it definitely gives a noticeable glow, but I think in person it's not super stark, and it melts in nicely with my skin throughout the day and just has a really nice glow. So for blush, I have been trying to finish this full-size Hourglass blush in the shade Incandescent Electra. Here's a little sneak peek, a little spoiler for my next update, but there really isn't a ton left. It's mostly just in the corners there. But recently I got as a birthday gift a mini of a different shade from Hourglass in the shade Mood Exposure, and I have been loving this. This is like the perfect color for me right now. It's slightly deeper than Incandescent Electra, and instead of having a peachy undertone, it has more of like a plummy mauve undertone, and I think it just looks really natural. It looks like a very natural flush for me. And I've been using like a smaller but still fluffy brush, getting in there and just being very generous with it. I mean, I'm never not generous with blush to begin with, but I think I take it to another level with this one. Once again, going over the bridge of my nose and just buffing it in like the apples of my cheeks, really not being super precise with the placement. And then sometimes after I do the rest of my makeup, I go in and I think, I could even use more blush, and I just add a little bit more right on the tops. So I'm going to keep that blush out. I'm not going to put it away just yet because I might go in with more later. For eyebrows, I've really only just been using a brow gel. This is the Essence Make Me Brow in the shade Soft Brownie Brows, which is one of the darker colors, and I just put that in the outer half of my brows just to deepen them enough so that they're visible. For eyeshadow, I'm going to keep it relatively simple. I'm going to use most shades from the Charlotte Tilbury Quad in the shade Pillow Talk. I'm going to use that pinky matte shade there and just buff that into the crease. I've been really loving soft pinks and mauves lately. It's something I've always liked. It's something that I think is very flattering on my skin tone, but I think I've just been wearing it a ton more lately. I've really been neglecting my Pan Those eyeshadows that I've been working on just because I'm not in the mood. I'm just not in the mood. For the first time in a couple of years, I've just been wanting like really simple looks. So that's what I've been doing. So this mini Soft Glam palette, I'm actually almost finished with one of the shades from here. I've loved Dusty Rose. There's a big dip in here, but this Tempera shade here, this matte cream, I've been using a lot. I like to use it everywhere, so I use it on the inner corner to brighten that up. Sometimes I like a sparkly inner corner, sometimes I just want it to be brightened and I use a matte instead. And then I also put it on the first half of my lid to add some brightness. And then I also like to put some along my lower lash line just to really brighten that up. That might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I find that it makes a really big difference for me personally. I am going to go in with a more pointed crease brush and grab a little bit of that Dusty Rose and really work that in the crease just to add a little bit more depth there. Then I'm going to take a pointed pencil brush and go into Mulberry. I find that even though it's not like necessarily a mauve shade, I think it complements the mauve shades really well. It adds some depth without making it too grayish or cool toned. I'm going to focus that on the outer third. I don't find that this shade in particular is like the best burgundy shadow out there. I think it can be a little bit too patchy, especially if you overblend, but I think that might just be the nature of the shade. I mean, darker mattes in general probably are more difficult to make look perfectly blended and smooth. Then I'll go back in with that smaller pointed crease brush and just make sure it meets the crease. Then I'm going to take that top shade, not the topper shade, but just the light satin color, and I'm going to put that on my fingers and put that on the inner third, and I'm going to go up above the crease as well. And then I'm going to go in with that topper shade with my fingers again and tap that on top to add a little bit more sparkle. I don't know if that's going to be the most noticeable thing on camera, but in real life it does look really pretty. I'll go in with that pencil brush just to make sure the depth isn't being taken away. Before I put on liner, I'm going to curl my lashes. I've been using a lash serum, and I haven't used a lash serum in a while, and I went back into using it again, and it's amazing. It makes such a difference. And then I'm going to use this tiny little bit that I have left from the CoverGirl liner. I'm going to use that to tightline the inner part. And I'm not going to go, I'm only going to do like the outer half, because if I do the entire lid, then it'll transfer down to the lower lash line and create like a really weird darkness like on the lower inner corner. And I'm going to go in with this Charlotte Tilbury pencil in the shade Classic Brown, just to add a little bit more. This is a really creamy formula, and so I like it for what I'm about to do next. So I use an angled brush. This is from Essence, and I go through and I push the liner up closer to my lash line, kind of like spraying it out, and then I kind of push it to the outer part of my lid to figure out where the line would be, to kind of like lay the foundation for when I do liner on the actual lash line. Let me show you what I mean. So I push it into the lash line, and then I kind of go like this, and that way I have an idea of where I want the liner to go on the top portion. And I feel like I say it in every single video I have, but my eyes are very asymmetrical, so this isn't gonna be like perfect, and that's fine. I'm not going for perfection here. And then I take that pencil again from Charlotte Tilbury. I add a little bit more to the outer portion, and this is really smudgy, it's nice. And then I go in with that angled brush again and just make sure it's all nice and blended out. I don't know who originally started that thing. I'm sure I'm not the first person to have done it, but I just find that that really helps me create the best place to stop my liner on my top lash line. And I like that it doesn't go all the way in, because that would just close in my eyes even more. But that being said, I am going to go in with whatever's left on this brush and just make sure that there is some liner on the top part. Just to add some further definition to that top lash line. I am using the CoverGirl Exhibitionist Mascara. If you can see, it's starting to leak around the cap. I've had this open for about 5 or 6 weeks, and I think that's because I store this flat. If you were to store this upright, I'm sure it wouldn't do that. One thing I don't love about this formula, aside from the brush being really big, which I think is a complaint I have for most mascaras to begin with, but it's a really wet formula. I'm not a fan of that. So I'm using it, it's fine, especially with the serum I'm using. My lashes are in better shape than they normally are. So it works, it does the job, but it's not like my favorite mascara. And I'm gonna focus this on the outer half. And while I wait for that first coat to dry, which it takes forever to dry, another thing I don't love about it, I'm gonna focus on what I'm gonna do with the lips. I'm gonna wipe off the lip balm that I had on before, go over the outer line with that sponge. I'm gonna go over with the Charlotte Tilbury lip pencil. I have the Peekaboo Neutral lip pencil from NYX, the Nude Suede Shoes lip pencil from NYX. Those are really great dupes for this, but this is just the one I have nearby, so I'm gonna use this one. And something I've been doing lately, I think I saw it on like TikTok and Instagram Reels, is where you go over your Cupid's bow a little bit and make it more of a straighter line instead of showing that Cupid's bow. So I start on the sides just to make those a little bit more even. And then I go like this, and I just run the pencil over my Cupid's bow so it's more of a straight line. It's a lot less detectable when you use matte formulas versus like a gloss or a creamy lipstick. And then I just finish lining the rest of my lip. I know not everyone likes to overline their lip. I'm not opposed to it at all, especially since I do already do it a little bit on this side to make it match the other side a little bit better. Now for nude lips, some products that I've been loving. The first one is this Ulta Beauty Gloss Stick. This is in the shade Chill Pill. This is like the perfect like nude mauve shade for me for my skin tone, just slightly deeper than my natural lip color. This is great. It's a great alternative to the ColourPop lippy sticks, the Just a Tints, because those have like a really fruity taste and scent. This one really doesn't have anything, but they only have 2 shades in this line. Another lip product I've really been liking is this Urban Decay lipstick in the shade Rush. This is from their cream formula, which I prefer over their matte formula. This is really similar, maybe slightly more pinky than the Ulta lip product, but I've really been loving this as well. This is a great everyday nude lipstick for me. I think that they're changing the formula for the Urban Decay lipsticks. I got this one on clearance for like 10 bucks. Really nice, slightly deeper nude color for me. Really enjoying that, and I like the formula a lot. Another product I've really been loving is whenever I do put a nude pencil, I'll put that all over my lips, and then I'll put a little bit of this gloss from Tower 28. This is in the shade XOXO. It looks really red in the tube there, but it's more of like a gloss with a slight red tint when you actually apply it. And I feel like of all the lip glosses from Tower 28 that I've tried, that's been the case. Even if it's really bright in the tube, doesn't mean it's gonna look like that on your lips. And so it adds like a slightly reddish tint to my nude lipstick, and I have really been loving that color combo lately as well. This is the last lip gloss from that little 4-pack that I bought during the holidays last year, so that'll be my last little Tower 28 gloss that I have. And once I finish this, I am considering getting not only this shade or, you know, another shade from the line, but also I want to try their milky glosses next. I'm going to do another coat of that mascara, and yes, I'm going to go in and add just a tiny bit more blush. And I forgot to put on setting spray, which I never forget to do, and I usually put it on before I put on my mascara. I'm not going to take the chance and apply a ton of it like I normally do. I'm just going to do a little bit. This is the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal one. I really like this. Make sure you shake it up though, because if you don't, it will leave white dots. And it is also very heavily fragranced, so hold your breath, let it dry for a little bit before you start breathing again. Just going to keep it far away from my face. The mist on this is so fine, and also I feel like you have a lot of control over where the spray goes. The sprayer only goes in like a small amount, so you kind of can do a couple like swipes along your face as you spray, and it'll really only get on your face and not get like in your hair, on your clothes or anything. And because the mist is so fine, it dries really fast too, which is nice. So that's pretty much the finished look. A lot of blush, a lot of mauve nude colors. That's really what I've been wearing for the majority of the time. I just want something simple, something that makes me feel pretty. I really haven't been playing with a ton of color. I do have some exciting eyeshadow palettes coming in the mail. I ordered the Arcana palette from Shroud Cosmetics, and I also ordered a palette from a brand called Geology Cosmetics. So when those come in, I will talk about those a little bit more. I've been wanting that Arcana palette for so long. I even did a video a while ago. Let me zoom you out. I even did a video a while ago, I think it was back in 2019, where I took shades in my collection and I tried to recreate that palette using shades I already had. And I said in that video that I would likely still purchase that palette at some point. It came back in stock and I snatched it up. I guess I would consider this to be like my comfort makeup right now, where I want to look put together, I want to look nice, but I don't really want anything like too complicated. And also I feel like this makeup goes really well with whatever I'm wearing. What would you consider to be like your comfort makeup? What is a signature look that you know you can put on and you know you'll feel good in it, regardless of how you feel or how much time you have? Like I said earlier, I don't think I'm gonna be back to my 2 video a week schedule, just because I would like to focus on some other things happening in my life right now. But I do plan on coming back at some point, especially once I get more comfortable with the new editing software and once I have more time after the weddings and everything to start filming more again. Again, thank you so much to everyone who has reached out to me asking if I was okay and saying that they missed my videos. I hope I didn't worry anyone too much. Everything that has been keeping me from filming has been really positive things, very exciting things. And just as life goes on, sometimes you have to focus and prioritize other things, even if it means spending less time on things you really enjoy doing. I have a whole spreadsheet of video ideas and things that I want to start filming. So just expect those probably later this year. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!